I saw a really strong tweet by Jack Posobiec, and it was many, I think it was like last year or a couple months ago, and it really stuck by me. And it said, if social media existed in 2003, we would have not have gone to war with Iraq.
Of course.
And then, of course we would have.
Of course. Well, maybe we would have, those motherfuckers, but I think it would have been a better defense. Listen, 1 million people marched against the Iraq war in the UK. It was the largest protest the UK has ever seen. We had Claire Short, and I try to remember who the others, but we had like a number of politicians stand down and say, I cannot stay in Parliament now. I cannot stay on the benches now after this. We still went to war in Iraq. So look, he's hoping, or it's a thesis he has. You can't prove it right or wrong, but I think he's got an interesting point. I think we're seeing a seismic shift change in media, politics, and governance, and money. We're seeing it. We're like at the front lines of it, living through it. I'm here for it, but at the same time, I'm apprehensive about what it actually means. There's no smooth path through this. Yeah, it's going to be rough for some people. I just made a show with Luke Woman where he's talking about 100% inflation in developed Western nations. That's going to be rough for people. We're going to see these media organizations like the New York Times constantly fight back, publish bullshit. We're going to see a lot of this. We're going to see people. Maybe you'll get attacked. Maybe I'll get attacked. It's going to be rough, man.
I definitely feel the storm clouds. So we have a slightly different show formats, right? You focus mostly on the interviews, and then we are basically a daily news show, basically. Okay. And we cover a bit of culture. So we're slaves to the news cycle. We see the ominous clouds in the horizon just getting closer and closer and closer, because we're forced to cover all the news on a daily basis, or else we just won't do a good job. And I make a joke to Opti all the time, Peter. I say, we're going to try to hold it down in the US, but if all else fails, we're most likely going to have to move to El Salvador. I say it kidding, but at the same time, there's a part of me that's like, I think politicians are going to use Bitcoin as a scapegoat to the collapse of the legacy financial system.
Potentially. We've already seen it. I think, was it Elizabeth Warren that says crypto is a risk to the contagion risk from crypto is too high now. Yada, yada. By the way, did you see all the Gensler? Do you see Gensler's grilling?
Yes, he was shaking when they asked him about Ethereum. It was great.
Yeah, he's shaking that. I mean, Warren Davison went after him hard as well. He was the dude with the bow tie.
That's the head chairman. His name slips my mind. Opti, I don't know if you want to pull that up.
Yeah, that was awesome. But listen, look,
McHenry. His name is McHenry.
McHenry, that was great. I mean, I'm going to be scapegoated. They'll blame Elizabeth Warren will blame everyone and everything apart from herself. Everyone and everything. They will. They don't want to. They don't want to lose the status quo. Every one of them's worth tens of millions.
Mm-hmm.
How did they make all their fucking money? I mean, how much?
No one answers that, right? No one answers that question.
How did Nancy Pelosi make hundreds of millions? How did what's? Come, I'm gonna have a look at my end. I'm gonna do what's it? Nancy? No. Elizabeth Warren net worth. What is it?
Let's see.
What'd she say?
I see.
12 million here. It's 2019.
67 million.
67.
Yeah.
How she made 67 million? She's been a career politician. I mean,
she's close to the money spigot.
Close to the money spigot. Close to the decisions. Close to the regulations. These motherfuckers know what they're doing, Nico.
Yep. They do
know what they're doing, and they don't want to let go. They don't want to give up this party.
I mean, like, well, what's the quote, right? Absolute power corrupts absolutely.
The power corrupts, absolute power corrupts, absolutely. Yeah,
exactly. So, I mean, I tweeted this out the other day, which is no one deserves the power of the money printer. And I think that anyone, any human being, if you had the power to create money for free that everyone else had to work for, even if you think you're going to use that system for good intentions, I think it would corrupt you. And I think that's what's happened with all these people. I truly believe Elizabeth Warren thinks she's doing what's best.
Yeah. So I question that scenario. Are they, is she post-rationalizing? Is she scheming. What's really going on there? I don't know. But fuck them all. Fuck 'em.
You think she's twirling her mustaches like, huh? I mean, she doesn't have a
No,
mustache, but you know what I mean.
I mean, I just think I can understand how she gets Bitcoin wrong, right? If you go on her website, you go on her re-election website, and you want to contact her, there's so many different reasons you can contact her, all the different policy things she has to have an opinion on. There's no way she can sit there and do the work on all of those. We do one subject and it's Bitcoin and we get it, right? Well, I get a little bit, you probably get it more, but that's what we do. She has hundreds of subjects she has to understand. So really, she has to have staffers who do a lot of that work for her. A lot of people get Bitcoin wrong the first time. A lot of people are convinced that it's bad for the environment. A lot of people think it's used by terrorists and drug dealers. It's understandable that she gets something like that wrong, right? You can justify it by saying just how busy she is, the work she's got to do. What you can't understand, what you can't agree with, is having that not having that wider net understanding of how bad the money printer is. Yeah, you've got leading economists telling you exactly why this is happening, yet you continue on that gravy train. And they continue on it because, like you say, they're near the spigot. So there's the bigger things you can't understand. I can understand why she gets Bitcoin wrong.
Yeah, but you can't understand, like, and I'm glad that you brought that up because it was all the tells, right? It was literally, first they started with the environmental FUD. Okay, give them the benefit of the doubt. They care about the planet, et cetera, et cetera. But the tell was when Bitcoiners fought back, not in the kinetic sense, but great reports were written out, right? And they were given. And the narrative stayed exactly the same. It's like they just completely ignored the reports. It's like it's almost as if they weren't really concerned about what was true or not.
Do you know it's worse than Elizabeth Warren? It's the motherfucker who wrote it for New York Times. What's his name? Gabriel something. So Elizabeth Warren is told the opinions she should have, right? And that's just the way it is. Yes, she should understand more. He is a journalist. Yeah, sorry. Say that again. He is a journalist. His job is to go out and fully understand the subject, report on it, and be as balanced as possible, speak to both sides. And he's either an idiot or he straight up lied.
Yeah.
So, which is it? But he spoke to a lot of people in Bitcoin. He spoke to Troy Cross. Did he speak to Margot? He spoke to a lot of people. And he straight up lied. Yeah. And so he had one job to do on that article was to tell the truth. Not to tell a pro-Bitcoin story and not to spread FUD, just to tell the truth. Yeah, be really honest about this. Explain what's going on. Yeah, Bitcoin miners do use a lot of energy for some of this, 13 years old, and it might go up more. He can say that, and he can say that there are miners who've restarted coal plants, and that isn't good. He can say that, but he should also say, let's look at the balance. Let's compare EVs. Let's actually objectively compare EVs to Bitcoin miners. Let's talk about, okay, the trade-offs. Okay, yeah, Bitcoin mining uses a lot of energy, but also this is providing a tool to people who live under authoritarian regimes. It provides something to activists. It's helping people in various other parts of the world. Just tell an honest and balanced story. And they didn't. And the New York Times haven't responded. The Spectator did a FUD article a couple of years ago, and I wrote to the editor, and he said, okay, you can write a reply. And they published my piece. That's where you got to respect someone. You go, okay, you gave someone the right reply. The New York Times is a propaganda machine.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And they have a history of it too. They covered up the Ukrainian Holocaust, basically. They sold the American public on weapons of mass destruction. Yep. It is 100% a propaganda piece. And when you said journalists, Peter, I think independent content creators are truly the journalists of these times. I don't think journalists from these large corrupted institutions that you can even make the argument are benefiting from the money spigot or close to or owned by people that benefit from the money spigot. I think it's really the rise of the individual content creator that I think you're going to see more journalistic integrity from the guy, in his basement with a microphone and a camera than, these so-called institutions that are supposed to be telling us the truth. And I think more and more people are waking up to that reality.
Yeah, but that's a double-edged sword as well, and I think
Mm,
people have to be careful with that as well, because the guy in his bedroom with a microphone is susceptible to audience capture. I've seen it happen. I think Tim Pool is completely captured by his audience. I think he's absolutely captured by his audience because that's what pays the bills. You know, if you're making a show or a podcast, you know, your goal is downloads. You have that objective out there. Not everyone does this, of course, but a lot of people, they'll make a certain kind of shows like, holy shit, that show did really well. We'll make more of that. All right, yeah, we'll get more sponsors. So yeah, you can get totally audience captured as an individual. Also, fact checking as an individual is hard. Now, there are, within the worst publications, there are really good journalists. There are really good journalists that work for the BBC. Whatever you think of them, there are really good journalists who work there. There are really good journalists that there are probably some good people who work at the New York Times, or at least joined it with the right intentions and then got corrupted in there. But so the independent can also be corrupted. So we just have to be careful about that. Now, I think there's certain people out there who've done a brilliant job. I think, yeah, almost everyone in Bitcoin does a great job, of course. Uh,
mm,
Joe Rogan to me is the beacon of this because he is not captured by audience. Sometimes, I don't agree with him all the times. Sometimes he agrees with Biden. Sometimes he'll agree with a Republican. All I know is with that guy, when he says something, you trust he's saying it because he thinks it. And we
yeah.
need more people like that.